It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
And here we go. Yes, sir, it is Thursday, and you might think of Thursday as being practically Friday. That's right, one more day, and it's Friday, and then comes the weekend, and everything is okay. Well, you know, the weather yesterday was absolutely gorgeous. I think the weather hit another home run right over the center field fence. It was a beautiful day, as was the previous day and the previous day. So we've had a pretty good week of weather so far. Going to be not quite as nice this afternoon, but it's okay. Hey, it's spring, and there you go. Now, there are a number of stories this morning, and all of them are pretty important, I think. In yesterday's Spectator, the lead story above the fold was Clark memorialized in Albany. And State Trooper Nicholas Clark, the state trooper who was killed in the line of duty, it was last summer, July of 2018, so it wasn't all that long ago. But Trooper Clark was responding to a report of a suicidal man at the home of his estranged wife in the town of Irwin, and he was gunned down. One shot from a shotgun, and Trooper Clark died in the line of duty. And his name has now been placed on the New York State Police Officers Memorial in Albany. And imagine having a job where you go to work in the morning, or whenever your shift is, you go to work and you have no idea if you'll be alive at the end of that day. You could be killed in the line of duty doing your job. So I think all law enforcement officers everywhere, state troopers, Trooper Clark, local law enforcement, sheriff's deputies, whoever, they should be commended, I think, every day, because they do a very, very important job, and they go through a lot of danger doing it, and they could lose their lives. So Trooper Clark, Trooper Clark was honored at Alfred University last summer. And the line of law enforcement vehicles from all over, I mean, there were hundreds of them that passed by our house in Elmont. And it was just amazing to see the variety of law enforcement officers attending that ceremony in Alfred. And it was quite a moving and poignant event. So it was pretty moving. And also in yesterday's paper, you know the story of former State Senator Kathy Young of Olean, a Republican. And if you listen to the newsmaker and Professor Robert Heinemann of Alfred University, you're aware of the story of the raw deal, the very raw deal that Miss Young got in Albany. And after doing all she possibly could for the constituents in this area, she was given a raw deal, and she said, I think I've had it. I think I'm out of here. But the Dansville Chamber of Commerce honored her for her years of service, and what a nice thing to do, and an important thing to do. Because, I'm sure that there are a lot of principled people in Albany, lots. But there are some people who are not quite so principled. And former State Senator Kathy Young got a very, very raw deal. And she should be honored or recognized in some fashion for her service. And she was. And now she's working at Cornell University. She's the director of the New York State Center of Excellence for Food and Agriculture. So that too was pretty important. And now, the Buffalo Bills. Yes, sir, the Buffalo Bills. Go Bills. Well, as you know, that's right. The Bills have a new tailgate policy that's going to go into effect this year, and apparently it's to help curb unruly behavior in the parking lot and pick up a couple of bucks at the same time, I guess. Anyway, this new rule, which will go into effect soon, the cost for a 20-person vehicle, if they want to tailgate, the cost for a 20-person vehicle is $300. and then $600 for a 40-passenger vehicle, and $900 for a 60-passenger vehicle. And that breaks down to $15 per passenger and is paid in advance of a parking pass being issued. Buses and/or limo buses that do not wish to have their guests tailgate will have to pay $100 for a parking pass, but are not required to purchase a tailgate package. By instituting the new policy, Buffalo Bills officials hope to curb some of the unruly behavior inside the bus lot. Now, U.S. U.S. Congressman Tom Reed, the Republican of Corning, is a little upset about all this, and here's what he said about that.
And to see the Buffalo Bills go down this path of nickeling and diming the fans so that they can enjoy the tailgate experience before the game and after the game is just, to me, ridiculous. And so we wanted to call this out and ask the Buffalo Bills to reconsider their imposition of this charge and call on the NFL and Roger Goodell. When you have $15 billion profits a year in the NFL, really do we need to be charging our neighbors, our friends, these types of charges so that they can enjoy the tailgate experience at the game? To me, it's not fair, and I care about these fans, and I want to make sure they already pay enough for the tickets, that with their voice be amplified to say enough is enough, and let's not hit them with this type of charge that is going to make the experience to one of the best NFL teams and stadiums in the league there in Buffalo just something more of a nightmare rather than the lifetime, long time, and family generational type of great memory that I can firsthand attest to, given my experience having been at those games and enjoying those games and seeing the best fans in all of the NFL right there in Buffalo.
And it's Congressman Tom Reed. And a personal thing here. I grew up on Long Island, and in the early, in the 50s. And living on Long Island, my football team was, who else? The New York Giants. And that was in the age of, Andy Rubistelli, Sam Huff, Frank Gifford, and all those guys. So I was a Giants fan. And then the Bills came into existence in 1960. So I was, however old I was. So I said, Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. Now, growing up on Long Island, I thought anything west of the Hudson River was way out west. Okay? Way out west. And the name, the Buffalo Bills, I said, wow, how exotic is that? So I instantly became a Buffalo Bills fan. And this was in 1960. And now this is 2019, and I'm still a Buffalo Bills fan. Okay? I don't know why the name just kind of struck me, and that was it. And I was on it was called a traveling supper. It was a church group, a church youth group. And we were on a traveling supper on a Sunday. And it was the first televised Buffalo Bills game. And every house, it was like you'd have like an entree here and then another thing here. And then everybody would pile in cars and go to the next house. And they have, like something more to eat. And everybody was watching TV, and everybody was watching the Buffalo Bills. I don't know why. Maybe, the AFL was brand new. So everybody's watching the Buffalo Bills, and I was just intrigued by this name. So I've been a Bills fan all this time. They also have the distinction of being the only NFL team to play in 4 Super Bowls in a row and also to lose 4 Super Bowls in a row. But that's the Bills. Anyway, meanwhile, as all of Washington seems to be obsessed with the aftermath of the Mueller report and possible impeachment, Reed says there are other issues he would like to see addressed.
So I see things like drug pricing being pushed back because Democrats are focused on this impeachment path. I see things like finding an agreement on infrastructure, and now the $2 trillion mark that the White House is trying to get to, and maybe and we were working towards a $1 trillion mark in my mind. So infrastructure I see as something that's being pushed back on the prioritization. Things like retirement security that we've moved out of the House in a bipartisan way seems to be bogged down in the Senate to a degree. And so there's some good bills that are ready for action. And then I think the biggest one that is getting tied up into this is the whole Mexico-Canada trade agreement that is impacting our farmers on a day-to-day basis that we need to get a vote in the floor on. But because impeachment is the priority of the Speaker, this is now something that is being pushed back on the list of priorities.
So if they ever get past this Mueller thing and the impeachment thing, maybe other things will be done in Washington. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Oh, and speaking of the Mueller report, Reid says while President Trump does not want Mueller to testify before the House Judiciary, Reid says he and many of his colleagues say, sure, have him testify, get him up there, testify, and be done with it. So we'll see how that goes. Now, do you watch TV? Of course you do. Everybody watches TV. Have you noticed how many commercials you see for prescription drugs, medications, or over-the-counter drugs? They're all over the place. Medications from everything from dengue fever to swimmer's ear. And it's weird, because let's say out of a 60-second spot, 5 seconds is spent telling you what the drug does, and then 55 seconds for a disclaimer, saying this drug can cause this, and this, and this, and this, and everything up to and including death. So good luck. That's a keeper. Oh, yeah, sure. That sounds pretty good. I sure will give it a try. Now, a little background search, and I found this. A new federal survey finds 1/2 of Americans over the age of 12, 1/2, take prescription pain relievers, tranquilizers, sedatives, or stimulants. 16% of the time those drugs are misused. And more than half of Americans take 2 scripts, and 20% are on 5 or more medications. And a survey by the Mayo Clinic finds 7 in 10. So whichever survey you go by, that's a lot of people taking drugs and a lot of money. And they're not cheap. Which finally brings me to my point here. This is from AP. Drug makers ordered to list medication prices in TV ads. Finally, let me read that again. Drug makers ordered to list medication prices in TV ads because you never see those. You never see how much it costs. All you see is a drug and the wonderful effects it has, but you have no idea how much it costs. And it says those ever-present TV ads for prescription drugs will soon reveal prices too, the nation's top health official said Wednesday, responding to a public outcry for government action to restrain medication costs. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said the Trump administration has finalized regulations that will require drug companies to disclose list prices of medications costing more than $35 for a month's worth. And he says, what I say to the companies is if you think the cost of your drug will scare people by buying your drugs, then lower your prices. That's novel. Drug companies responded that adding prices to their commercials could unintentionally harm the patients. Now, how would that harm the patients? I'm not quite sure. We are concerned that the administration's rule requiring list prices in direct-to-consumer television advertising could be confusing for patients and may discourage them from seeking needed medical care. And that's in a statement from the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, the main trade group. So let me see. It might scare you if you know how much the drug costs. Okay. But one major firm, Johnson & Johnson, based in New Brunswick, New Jersey, has already announced it will disclose the cost of its blood thinner Xarelto in TV advertising. That drug is used to treat and prevent blood clots that can cause strokes. Okay. Drug pricing details are expected to appear in text toward the end of the commercials when potential side effects are disclosed. Remember, 5 seconds of drug and 55 seconds of disclaimer. TV viewers should note the change later this year, perhaps as early as the summer. Another industry complaint against the price reveal is that the government is infringing on First Amendment's free speech by forcing companies to disclose prices. I don't know exactly how they would be infringing on free speech. I'm not quite sure about that, but that's what they say. And it's unclear if that will prompt a court challenge. But Azar points out that the government has for decades required car makers to post their sticker prices on vehicles. And get this. Let me see. Where is it here? Over $4 billion of pharma spending is in TV ads. $4 billion on TV ads. And if you watch TV, you're probably well aware that every other commercial you see on whatever channel you're watching is for drugs or medications or whatever you want to call them. And there's a lot. I mean, in any one program, let's say an hour program, you can see like 8 spots for drugs. So they do spend a lot of money on advertising. But apparently they will have to start listing how much the things cost. And I think that's a very, very good deal. Because as I said, so many people are on medications. And it costs so much that you really ought to know how much the drug costs. So I think that's a very good deal. And I think we are going to a break any second soon here, and we will be back.
New to golf or seasoned veteran, you'll enjoy the casual, relaxed atmosphere of Vanderview Golf Course. 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road, Vanderview is a 9-hole executive-length golf course with a driving range on one side of the road and the course on the other. Family-friendly and fun recreation for everyone. Greens fees are one price for unlimited play, $9.50. High school students, only $5. Children 12 and under with an adult, no charge. You can play up to 18 holes or 9 holes with a cart and get the second 9 holes at no additional charge. Ladies and senior golfers who don't hit the long ball, Vanderview's got the executive length that's just right for your game. And new this year, a season pass for only $100. That's a lot of golfing fun for a very little bit of money. Vanderview Golf Course, 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road. Vanderview Golf Course.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NBA playoff second round action, the Warriors beat the Rockets 104-99, but they got the win without star Kevin Durant for the entire fourth quarter. He was injured in the third, didn't return. They say it's a calf strain. His status going forward is unknown. Golden State had a 3-point lead when Durant left. They then outscored Houston by 2 points the rest of the way. Klay Thompson led Golden State with 27 points. Steph Curry had 25 points. Durant 22 points before leaving as Golden State leads the series 3-2. Bucks close out the Celtics with a 116-91 win. Giannis Antetokounmpo led Milwaukee with 20 points, 8 boards, and 8 assists. Chris Middleton added 19 points. Milwaukee wins the series 4-1. Up next for them is the Eastern Conference Finals. They await the winner of the Toronto-Philadelphia series. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, Game 7. The Sharks beat the Avalanche 3-2. San Jose's Tomas Hertl gets his 9th goal of the playoffs to help San Jose get the win and a 4-3 series victory. They advance to the Western Conference Finals where they'll face the St. Louis Blues.
From the Fox Business Network, stock futures are sharply lower after President Trump's comments at a rally in Florida last night. The president said China broke the deal, meaning the trade agreement, and also said so they'll be paying, meaning the tariffs to be increased on Friday. Trade talks resumed today in Washington. Reports this week said China has been trying to back out of trade measures it had already agreed upon. China has said it would respond to U.S. tariffs. Roku's business is stronger than expected. The streaming media company reported a smaller than expected loss. Roku says 1 in 3 smart TVs sold in the U.S. at the start of the year ran its licensed operating system. It's believed Roku will be helped by the launch of Walt Disney's Disney Plus streaming service and Apple's new service. The Dow was up 2 yesterday. The Nasdaq dropped 20, and the S&P was down 4. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
You don't want to mess with the IRS. They have the power to garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. That's all true. But thankfully, they're offering a way out. The Fresh Start Initiative. If you qualify, you could save thousands. The experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best possible tax settlement, and they have an A+ rating with the BBB. Call Optima for your free consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief.
And we are back. Now, what was going to do? Oh, that's right. As you heard on Brian's newscast at 8 o'clock, State Senator Tom O'Mara of Big Flats really put it to his colleagues yesterday in Albany. Because apparently his colleagues are more interested, at least the Democrats, are more interested in doing something about Trump.
I truly believe that this is a pure and simple political maneuver to attack a sitting president of the United States to score political points in your individual districts. And I'm also quite sure that if this passes and becomes law, you all will rue the day that you established this in New York State. This is attacking the basic foundation of our criminal justice system in the United States of America in New York State, violating double jeopardy. Bills of attainder, ex post facto, charging somebody with a crime that wasn't illegal when they undertook the action. This is a huge mistake, and it's all politics. On the federal level, well, we're New York State. We should be above that. We should be above the fray and the nonsense that's going on in Washington that my constituents are sick and tired of and want us to move forward. But yet this bill isn't enough. We have another bill on the calendar today to again take a shot at our sitting president in an effort to disclose tax returns of individuals. You will rue the day that you pass that also. And we have yet further legislation to attack a certain individual by changing the way we assess golf courses in New York State.
Okay. Way to go, State Senator Tom O'Mara of Big Flats. He's absolutely right. What does the New York State Legislature have to do with Trump? I mean, there is national politics, running the country, and then there's running New York State. And they really, I think, probably should concentrate on running New York State, I think. I think it's pretty important. So that was well said. Especially that golf course tax. Remember that? Let's tax golf courses as if let's pretend they weren't golf courses, and let's tax them at another rate, assuming that they were not golf courses. Let's say they were a high-rise or, a shopping center or something. That's kind of dumb, too. Okay, well, we don't have a lot of time left, but I do have some time to tell you. This is pretty interesting. And this is from, where is this? I don't know where I got this, but here it is. There was a couple in Mongolia who died from eating marmot, raw marmot meat and kidney. Now, what's a marmot? Well, there's a photograph of a marmot here, and a marmot looks like it's just a little rodent. I'm sure that marmots are very nice, all creatures great and small. I mean, they're fine. But apparently they ate this raw marmot, and the couple died. And the deaths of the couple led to a quarantine that left tourists stranded for days. So I'm not quite sure why you would want to eat raw marmot. I don't know. But they got the bubonic plague from eating this marmot, and they died. So, eating marmot's kind of weird. I mean, it really is. I didn't know the people ate them, but apparently they do, or maybe not too often, because this couple died of the bubonic plague. So raw marmot, it's like marmot tartare, I guess, I don't know why you'd want to do that. That's just very, very strange. And they died of the plague. So apparently, let me see, the World Health Organization, WHO, said 118 people had come into contact with the couple and had to be isolated and administered antibiotics. Now, the plague is pretty serious stuff. As a matter of fact, I did a little research on this, and there have been a number. Everybody thinks of the plague, okay, the Black Plague, or the Black Plague. There have been a number of plagues. There was one in the era of Justinian called the Justinian Plague, and that was in Byzantine times. And that started in the 6th century, and 25 million people died of the plague. 25 million. You consider the population of the world at that time, and 25 million were a lot of people. And let me see, then the one that we all know, okay, the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, that was in the 14th century. And get this, the plague in the 14th century killed an estimated between 75 and 200 million people. 200 million people. Over half the population of Europe died in that plague. So I think the moral of the story here, a cautionary tale, if you're going to eat marmot, be sure you cook it first. As everybody knows, on a meat thermometer, it's clearly marked marmot 165 degrees interior temperature. So if you're going to cook marmot, be sure it's 165 degrees and then you'll be safe. I guess, or maybe, or crazy, who knows. Anyway, okay, that's it for the show, and we will be back tomorrow.